Good afternoon, I'm Ren Wadsworth, and this is your non-stop local news update. As the world marks the first anniversary of Russia's invasion on the Ukraine on Friday, Biden holds a speech pushing back against Russian President Vladimir Putin as the country steps back from a historic arms treaty with the U.S. Mike Valero has the latest.
There should be no doubt. Our support for Ukraine will not waver. NATO will not be divided, and we will not tire.
President Joe Biden delivering a defiant declaration at the Royal Castle in Warsaw, a promise of resilience that neighboring Ukraine will not fall.
Ukraine will never be a victory for Russia. Never.
The president called for steadiness of purpose days before the first anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
President Putin ordered his tanks to roll into Ukraine. He thought we would roll over. He was wrong.
Biden last spoke from the storied setting in March of 2022, when the resolve of Ukraine and the strengthening of the NATO alliance were only beginning to emerge. The resolve underscored by President Biden's historic trip to Kyiv, standing side by side with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday. While in Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin framed the contours of the conflict as an existential battle with the West.
The elite of the West do not conceal their ambitions, which is to strategically defeat Russia, finish us off once and for all.
Putin announcing Russia is suspending its participation in the New START treaty, the last major nuclear arms agreement between the U.S. and Russia. Back in Poland, the president focused on future generations and what remains at stake.
Freedom, the enemy of the tyrant, and the hope of the brave and the truth of the ages. Freedom.
I'm Mike Valerio reporting.
After Russia's self-suspension from the New START nuclear arms treaty, NATO's Secretary General said it was clear Russia was, quote, preparing for more war, end quote. While U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the move unfortunate and irresponsible, NATO is also becoming increasingly concerned about China's support for the Kremlin. China's top diplomat is set to meet with Russia's foreign minister in Moscow Wednesday, the first visit to that country by China since Russian troops invaded Ukraine nearly 1 year ago. China says the visit is an opportunity to develop their strategic partnership with Russia and exchange views about shared global interests. President Biden isn't the only one making groundbreaking trips. First Lady Jill Biden is set to make a historic trip to Africa this week as the Biden administration works to strengthen ties with the continent. She is the first White House principal to visit sub-Saharan Africa this year. The First Lady will arrive in Nambia on Wednesday. According to an official while there, Mrs. Biden will focus on the role of young people in continuing to shape their democracy and advance health cooperation. She'll then travel to Kenya, where food insecurity and drought will be front and center. The First Lady will also meet with First Ladies of each country and engage with youth and women's empowerment organizations. The trip comes as the Biden administration has sought to bolster its relationships with African countries, at a time when Russia and China have made inroads in the region. President Biden and other senior administration officials are expected to travel to Africa later this year. Coming back to the Treasure State to take a look at road conditions across Montana, we are still in a winter weather alert. Roads are clearing up a bit, but there is still some precipitation present on the roads and the potential for ice and even black ice to form as we move through the night. As you can see on MDT's interactive road map, we still have crashes scattered across the state indicated with the red diamonds. And 191 going south towards Harleton is still closed due to the weather. So if you're planning on traveling today, MDT asks people to slow down and keep their eyes peeled for accidents and emergency vehicles. That's all for now. We'll have more news updates for you as the day goes on, so make sure to check back in for more. I'm Ren Wadsworth. Thanks for tuning in to your nonstop local news.